Uh, I'm convinced this reality is a setup. I'm convinced that they, whoever they are, that they know if we are going to know the truth or not before we do it. And I think they make sure things are set up in such a way as to when you do indeed see the truth of your own reality and what has happened here to all of us and what all these systems really are and what it all means and what's going on, that you won't speak up, that you won't say anything about it for whatever reason. I'll use myself for an example. I never got in any trouble with the law, so to speak, growing up. Joined the military to protect all this stuff. And for the first 7 years in the Army, it was just that. October 94 is when I joined. And for 7 years I did. I was that hero image in my own mind, acting out the role of the soldier, acting out the role of protector for the place I lived and the folk that lived here, type of thing. Which was taught, which was that concept, that structure of thought, that concept was built and ingrained. And it helped, of course, maybe a little bit with my own personal experience with the whole being born on Independence Day and all that other stuff. But for 7 years it was just that, because it was all an act up to that point. It was training. And doing real things here and there, but not harmful things. And then after that spell was cast over the consciousness of the nation, it seems, the 9/11 thing, not only on the consciousness of the nation to narrow its view, and then as the war drums were beat to start that whole nonsense of a shift to just darkness, but hit at the heart of everyone out there was part of that spell. The care center of everyone that took that in, that ritual. Anyway, won't get into that, but for that time on, for those next 14 years of mine in the Army, there was a marked difference in everything. Everything became darker looking back now, and so did I. And then looking back now, seeing how we were used by those that just out of their own greed and need of control of others, that would harm and subjugate others just because of their own greed and need of control, how we were used to enforce that. As we were sent to attack another group of folk just because someone said so. Well, after that total of 21 years of honorable service, award-filled service, whatever, expert, dedicated, faithful, loyal service to my country, at the end of that, I was absolutely insane. I was so divided within myself. My consciousness was so suppressed to such a narrow point of view. My memory was shot and gone. I was a shell by the end of it. I was a shell of a being. Then at the end, when I retired, and then we found a place just to go move off to in the woods, just found by random, on the internet and then moved to Florida to try and retire and leave it all in the past and try and rebuild something, put something together. Time for legal manifestation of shenanigans. During a time for me when I was in an absolute state of insanity, didn't know what was going on, didn't know how to react, I had no grasp on reality, to be honest with you. This was a few years ago. Anyway, the moving there didn't seem to turn out to be such a great thing. Maybe it was all going to go like this regardless for me. Just because maybe it was known that I would look back and really examine myself and my whole situation and existence for what it was. And find the truth of it. And then me being who I am and the type of individual I am, once I know something and once I know something is wrong, how I will go after it, and I don't care. Consequences to myself be damned, because I do have that attitude, which is why I'm talking on video openly about these kinds of things when I do have a legal manifestation of shenanigans from a few years ago where, yep, I walked right into their jail when they said I was going to have to. They were issuing a warrant for my arrest. Why? Here are the charges. 2 charges of grand theft auto, 1 charge of felony criminal mischief, and 1 misdemeanor charge of littering. That is the situation that manifested, and I won't go any further than to say it was, and this might sound a bit odd, because what isn't? And the whole thing is, so is the insanity involved. So is the reason why I walked away and I left, because I did not know how to deal with things. But it was 2 4-wheelers, the 2 counts of grand theft auto, 2 4-wheelers that were on a trailer from a military base, not in Florida, but that ended up near where I was in Florida. So yeah. So I walked into the jail to sign my fake name on the fake paperwork to figure, yeah, maybe I don't know what's happening. I was so insane I couldn't even tell you what I was thinking. I wasn't. I was reacting in a state of fear and confusion, and really that's all I was doing was reacting. So walk in, yep, I'll spend the night here, I guess. And then I see this judge guy on the TV screen the next morning for this so-called whatever first part of it thing, first appearance, whatever. And then I don't know what the heck's going on with this. Yeah, and I got this lawyer because I uttered the line from the TV. And I want a lawyer because I don't know what's going on here. Saying I'm not responsible to deal with my own circumstances. So I'm handing total responsibility for myself over to this guy and this whole system because I don't understand. Which, yeah, I fell right into it. Whatever. But after that, and then I go back, and then during this whole time of different things happening and different targeted individual story type of things, if you might want to say, for myself and my family during this whole thing. Not just, before that part of spending the night. Lots of different events, lots of different things. Lots of different things around the house. A lot of times 4-wheelers driving and circling around the house. 4-wheelers, that's funny. Anyway, constant gunshots, constant this and that. Folks that were really did not want us there and made it real clear on a constant basis to where finally we did. They left before I did because of my shenanigans I was trying to figure out how to deal with. They got out of there to Michigan, my family did, before I did, because I figured it was a matter of time before things would just keep that they would escalate and something crazy was going to happen. I didn't know. I really didn't. The whole situation was insanity. From right at the point of a career ending, a career that was a distinguished, so to speak, career or whatever, to all of a sudden this crazy criminal, like being like attacked and watched and harassed, and it's just crazy flip in my whole world. And that's why later too, during that TV screen talk where this judge person is sitting there going, yeah, read off these charges, and then said that comes with the maximum of 11 years in jail. So I thought to myself, after I got out with the bail, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with what's going on? This gentleman just told me that if this situation plays out in a certain way, which to me, everything was already like totally against, it was not good all the way around for lots of reasons. Lots of intertwined, entangled reasons from lots of places, but I won't get into it. Once he said, 11 years, all I could consider was the next 11 years of my life. After right now, I feel like I'm not going to make it another month because my health was so bad. I felt like I was about to die already almost. I was such a mess and insane. After 21 years, and then about to try and put myself back together, and he said, you might go into one of our boxes for 11 years. I'm going to put your life, energy, and everything, because I don't give a damn about anything that's going on in you, with you, what the whole situation is. All I heard was 11 years I'm about to take from you. So I left as well. And then after I left and I came to Michigan, I started to research and start to look into things and figure, how am I going to deal with this? Because I was still trying through the lawyer and still trying, and then offering for the first appearance, then maybe I could do it from here via teleconference, because I didn't even have the first appearance yet where anything was discussed. Because the whole time all I kept getting was things were being discussed around me, about me, and I had nothing to do with it. And that's exactly how I felt, because that's exactly what I came to realize what was happening. And I was just going along with it out of pure ignorance. I didn't know what to do. I didn't realize how much of a setup everything was until I did from here, as I researched reality and really at the same time healed myself. Because at the time I wasn't responsible and I couldn't handle anything, because I couldn't put any thoughts together coherently. I couldn't express myself coherently. I couldn't tell what I was feeling. I was so disconnected in different aspects of myself inside. So many psychological imbalances. I could go through a laundry list, because now I know that deeply and fully, the imbalances within me, because they've healed and because I've analyzed that deeply into what's happened. And that's how I realized that everything was set up along the way. All of it was for all of us. And that's the point. That's why I ended up going, why deal with it? Because once I saw the depth of where even my own name wasn't real, where this legal corporate entity made up thing called a state of Florida, which isn't someone I can address. I can't talk to the state of Florida one-to-one and go, what? Let's talk this through here. Like, before you start talking about taking 11 years of my life away, like, except with all the stuff going on around in the background, making it very clear to where physically you're in danger. Physically, you and your family are in danger. That's what was going on. I know that feeling of threat very well. It was trained into me, and I experienced it traumatically over and over again throughout my time in the Army. So, which was part of the imbalance within me, in that constant reactive state of fight or flight, where I couldn't think clearly or feel clearly. I was locked into that. For years, I was locked into that. And that's what destroyed my health and my consciousness and my soul. But now, now I figure, of course, my attempts at trying to communicate in such a way to where they wouldn't have their physical grip on me by me walking into their building, that whole thing that I had researched and know what it all stood for and know how it's all set up and know how I know what a game it all is. I know how all the language works. I know how all the symbolism works. I know what's been done to trick us with all the language. I know it. So how do I walk in there physically and fight against it? I can't. I can't, because absolutely everyone there that's involved in that, they will hear the words of truth coming from my mouth, and then they will have to look at themselves. The mirror will go up, so to speak, and they'll have to consider that, yes, they are indeed a part of a system that's causing harm to other life. Why? Because of some material thing here or there, whatever we want to make up or whatever happens to come up or however we can make something manifest. You may not cause harm to anyone out there, but we are going to cause harm to you just based off something we make up. By taking your life away from you and then using it in our corporate energy farm, whether it's called legal, government, religion, it doesn't matter what it's called, it's all the same. It's all the same academic nonsense of labels and categories. It's all the same system. It's all broken. And so, of course, my attempts were refused because they wouldn't allow me to communicate back with them in such a way as they first communicated with me, as they were communicating at me, because that's all it was about, was them telling me about me and how they were going to do me, because I was under the false assumption that I was a person, a persona, a corporation, a personification of a living being, but not a living, breathing man. No. A creation of theirs that was created when my mother, without her full knowledge, which means she could not give full consent as she signed her name on this corporate certificate of birth, of live birth, that sold me into this corporate state of enslavement to act under this persona, this person, this name that's on my birth certificate. It's all a falsehood. It was a falsehood that I fell under as well, unbeknownst to me, because I was not fully informed. Therefore, I could not fully consent. My entire life was full of signing that false name falsely all over the place on things, because I could never give full consent to what I was signing or doing because I didn't know the depth of it. I was only playing along with the creation. But now, knowing what that creation was, what it stands for, what the whole system is, this whole system of enslavement, of groups that have for generations come and enslaved other groups and then taught them what they wanted to teach them about their own reality, until they're so suppressed consciously that they're dependent to be taught by different fools in this foolish system of foolish nonsense that's all enslavement of the mind and consciousness of men and women and children, to make them all believe that lie that they are less than any part of that system or any other individual that's somewhere up a ladder in that system. Because those individuals up those separate ladders of those separate systems in this false, ridiculous, nonsensical reality of belief have been bestowed with by each other their own little bit of false authority in that little aspect or group of rungs of that nonsense. I'm so tired of this, man. So crazy being able to see this stuff for what it is, only because I took the personal energy and effort and responsibility to try and figure out what was happening to me. And only because it came down to my life was in danger. Because I was that foolish and selfish that it took something manifesting to the point to where some guy is sitting there telling me that he can put me in a box for 11 years because he might say so. It took that for me to really go, wait, let me really look at things for what they are, because this doesn't make sense. I was too lazy, too indoctrinated, too foolish, too ignorant, all those things prior to that, to look into this reality, and I'm ashamed of that. But I know now, because I did. And because I did, that's why I feel it's so important to talk about it. And because I did so deeply, and because I feel that I can talk about it so clearly now and concisely and break it down, and because of everything that I've experienced personally and can explain and put voice to and truth to, that I'm one of those folk that something was going to manifest and keep manifesting, especially maybe as I put out more and more videos, as I speak more and more, and I plaster them everywhere I can and comments everywhere I can on this whole set up ridiculous network, this infrastructure of programming set up by DARPA and the rest of the groups. Who cares? I'm not getting in all the groups. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's all the same. The same social programming and engineering. Well, yep. I don't mind speaking against it, because doesn't matter to me what keeps manifesting, because now, funny. A car repossession my son was waiting for aside, which was funny. Funny how things work out. They pulled up, and then I think they thought it was going to be tense, and quickly realized that, hey, there's a guy standing here smiling and waving, saying, how you doing? It's not like the TV shows. You don't have to jump out and think you're going to get into an altercation, because that's not who I am, and that's not who everybody is. Because folk can indeed change. I may have been like that in the past when I was absolutely insane, but not now. You don't have to expect any problems from me or violence from me. You don't come here trying to hurt me. I ain't trying to hurt you. So it was funny. We had a nice conversation, talked about stuff with the couple guys and stuff as they got in the car. It was funny. It was it was fun. They left. And that got out of here, and I was glad for that, because I'd been waiting. I kept trying to say, call and get this thing out of here. Anyway. And then, let's see, just about a week ago or something, we get something from the IRS, that fake corporation, thing that I interacted with as I researched reality and started to mess with the paperwork, because I realized what nonsense all this corporate fiction crap was. The whole money system, the whole whatever, the whole beast system, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's all run by these same groups of folks who work for whatever same group of overall controller, master. But they say from a couple years back, few years back, well, around the time of the whole shenanigans, the Florida shenanigans, that some issue with owing them, the IRS, and I was like $3,000 or something because something about not proving out, something in the tax not proving I was affiliated with the military. I mean, except for the fact that I was just retired from the military after 21 years. Anyway, so stupid nonsense. So my wife had to send off some nonsensical paperwork for that. And then, right, just like the next day or two, something else shows up about owing another few thousand for, I might have been wrong about the few thousand for the IRS. It's all stupid nonsense. I really don't care about this stupid money crap. It's all so stupid. It's all fake anyway. Anyway, for school, some school loans, a few $1,000s for me. When I took, see, I took these classes, SNHU. This was after the shenanigans in Florida when I was trying to put things together. I was taking psychology classes, philosophy classes, all this other stuff, right? SNHU with my GI Bill, right? Something that I'd supposedly, just retired. So that thing was, mine to use supposedly, right? All this stupid college money crap you sign up for, right? Except somehow that was then turned into like I owe them some fake money for taking their ridiculous nonsense in academia, which it ended up helping. Like I said, I got exactly what I needed out of academia to see the absolute nonsense. Not to brag, but I wasn't even trying. I was insane. I was trying. I was actually looking at things, but I wasn't even reading half the stuff. And I was like had like this 3.8 whatever GPA. Like for a good almost, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. It was so nonsensical almost and childish. And then reading the others, the work of others and the posts of others and the thoughts of others. Ooh. Oh, man. So, yeah, I didn't even finish that ridiculous program, that stupid bachelor program I had signed up to do in psychology because I got enough. I got just what I needed for things to line up within me, and then I was off to the races, so to speak, when I didn't need to look anymore at any of the nonsense out there because I had had enough to put together. And then off to the races of healing to put things together and then see the depths of things and then to realize that it's all nonsense. But it's funny how these things keep popping up, which leads me to last night. When someone shows up late, dark outside, out in the woods, like almost 9 o'clock at night, 8 something at night, to deliver an encyclopedia of 4 different packets of the same thing, of a foreclosure of the property that we attempted to retire to in Florida, which we abandoned this place, I don't know, 2.5 years ago. And I was hoping it'd be gone by now or whatever. Someone else was living there. Someone else is living there. I don't even know. Like I said, I left and never looked back, so to speak, after I tried. After I tried to talk to the court in a different way and they refused, and then I really, after that is when really I put all the rest of the pieces together to really get the depth of things. And now I have absolutely no trust for any of it. So that's what I'm left with. This system, this keeps doing this little thing it does with under this, it's corporation versus corporation via this corporation. It's all fake. And then right here, summons dash personal service on a natural person. No such thing as a natural person if you look up their own word definitions and how they use them. A person's not a living, breathing man or woman. It's a corporation. So there's no such thing as a natural corporation because nature doesn't create corporations. See? Yet that's the nonsense we're left to deal with. That's why I won't. I'm so done with it. I'm so tired of it. I don't want to deal with any of the nonsense in any of the different individual specific structures of any of this. What I would like to know, who is the one overall? Who is that one that runs this whole thing? That's the individual. I don't care who that is. I don't care if that's the devil, the prince of darkness, Satan, Lucifer, Belial, Leviathan. I don't care what label you want to put on it. Shiva, whoever. Hell, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter to me. While I mean no disrespect to anything energetically when I say those words like that, and I think that is known from my heart and my consciousness and reason to the out there energetically, I feel that that's known. That I mean no disrespect to anyone or anything, living or otherwise. I don't. To me, we all fell into the same trap here. We're all in different parts of the same trap of enslavement, enforcing our own enslavement on each other. Because others will it so. Others will it that they will control and enslave and drive greed and fear. They will that to be through programming and indoctrination and teaching and enforcement of it. And they have tricked us to enforcing it on each other by attacking each other and enslaving each other due to their words. Whose words? I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm talking about the ones who write and enforce these words. I would like to communicate directly with the one who is above all of those words, the ones responsible for those ones being created, those words being created and taught in such a way as to create all these different things. Why? Because to me, somebody has to, and I'll do it. Because I don't claim to be anything or anyone special. To me, I am simply a son of the Creator. I may not be the son of the Creator. I may not be the one that is supposed to do something great. I'm good with that. I'm good with being just a son of the Creator, as one of the many sons and daughters of the Creator. And I'm perfectly willing to step up as a son of the Creator and address that force that is diametrically opposed to creation in such a way as to where it would create all of these systems of enslavement and consciousness and feeling suppression. I will. I figure, to me, that is the only individual that I should address on any of these matters. It's not any of the other individual folk that have fallen into this spell in any part, whether it's the legal, the government, the academic, the financial, the different corporations. It doesn't matter to me. To me, it's something else above them, someone else above them, something else above them, or not above them, but over them, or permeating throughout them, but the source of that. To me, that's what I would like to address. That. You. Individually, in person, in the present moment, right now, if possible. Because I figure the way things are energetically intertwined, it seems here, and the way things work, that you, if you have the ability to set up in all these systems of control to fool everyone for so long, for generations, that I figure you might be able to walk right in my garage at any moment because you might have that ability. And I'm fine with that. And I'm ready to stand here physically and talk to you in words and put my reason and empathy against yours to hopefully enmesh it with yours enough that we can find some kind of resolution to all this nonsense and enslavement that I feel should not be happening, should have never been happening, that none of us should have ever been born into. That was a mouthful, but that's how I really feel. Because I have no blame. I don't place any blame and I don't place any judgment on anyone else out there because I've judged myself so deeply for being tricked, for being fooled for so long. I've judged myself for it so harshly and so deeply. I felt like I died. I felt like I died almost inside over and over and over again as I felt and learned these things about myself and how I've been tricked and about out there. So to me, I feel like I have nothing to lose, but only everything to gain, because all I want to do is to try and find some kind of resolution and solution for all of us at the same time. So we can all be brought out of this mind state of constantly looking to all these false authorities and always get nothing but these false truths and twisted beliefs from them. It shouldn't go like that. It should have never gone like that, but I don't know. That's the thing with me. I am not the creator, like I said. I'm only a son of, that creation energy, God. However you want to put a label to it, whatever you call God. It's the same. It's the same for all of us. To me, we choose which God. We choose a God of truth and a God of nature. And we choose to serve that. Or we choose a God of deception. And we serve that. That's, to me, that's why I've simplified everything to that place to where I just cannot deal with society anymore as it stands because it's so unnatural. Because to me, it's all serving a God of deception, just like I did for 39 years. I have a tattoo to prove it. I fell right into that and served. I served deception through belief. Not knowing. I didn't know. I only believed things and concepts. And I saw that's what happened to the rest of us. To all of us. To my parents and their parents at least. I can't speak for everyone. So anyway, I guess that's why for me, I guess no matter what comes, I will continue. I'll continue to maintain doing what I've been doing for 2.5 years now. Is sit peacefully here at home with my family, with my wife, my daughter, my son, his wife, and soon to be their child, soon to be our first grandchild. And I will continue to try and peacefully get through to society at large from here. I think it should be quite obvious for anyone that might look or have looked, and I'm sure plenty have looked because I know they're looking. I know so many of you are watching. I get the whole targeted thing. I get how all these ridiculous things work. I think it should be quite clear and obvious that I don't want any fighting. That the way I'm talking and the way I feel, I'm sure you're all keyed, someone's keyed right in anyway and knew I would hit this state of consciousness at some point, long before I did. It is indeed that place of the Christ consciousness, but that's not from the mind. It's from the heart and soul with assistance of reason of the mind. And it's a state that everyone can get to, I'm convinced, because to me, it's our natural state that we were supposed to be existing in. And that's why we were instantly filled with toxins from day one. To keep us from ever feeling and realizing this very state in the present moment and be able to live it day in, day out, in a place of truth. In a place of truth and knowing that you are indeed connected to the Creator as a part of creation and are here as a co-creator in this creation under very under the very real natural law of creation and God's law of cause and effect, action and inaction. Morality. My family, not just my family, but me personally, I broke so many cycles, so many destructive cycles of patterns of thought and belief and nonsense in me, to free my consciousness from its slavery and its enslavement of others' information. And my family has as well. And we continue to break these cycles and we continue to point them out in others, to others, for others, so they can break the cycles and then they do the same. It's happening. I've watched it happen. I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it happening, and so have many others. It'll continue. It will continue at a rapid, unstoppable rate, I am convinced, because that is what's been happening. And it's only been coming faster and faster. And to me, the more folk deny it, deny natural law, deny their own infinite spirit inside them in their soul that wants to live in a state of care and kindness and knowing. The soul wants those things. The soul wants to know that it lives in a place of knowing and kindness and care, because it knows it's part of all the other life here, that we're all part of the Creator, this creation. And we are supposed to be acting as such. Not in an unnatural fashion, out of line with that, against that. That is why, folks, insanity is increasing exponentially out there as they try and hold on so desperately to these past beliefs and these false constructs of taught reality. It has to be let go of to get a more broad, expansive view of this place and how we can fix it and move forward. It has to be realized it was all set up. It was based on lies and mistruths and false truths and suppressed truths. And it can all be rectified. It takes individual effort, though, because it takes absolute individual responsibility for the individual, him or herself, to take full responsibility for their mind, their thoughts, their emotions, what those are, where those come from, what do they mean, for their feelings, what those are, where those come from, how they all tie together, and are they even theirs or not? Or only are they there because of some state of fear inside them that makes these false feeling or emotion repeat in these repetitive patterns that make them act out and lash out. That's what's happening. That can only be stopped by the individual stopping. The individual is the only one that can stop all of this enslavement. The individual is the only one. I can't do it. I have already done it for me, in me. And I've seen others do it for them, in them, to free themselves from their own enslavement, of their own false thoughts and beliefs and emotions, and their own false perceptions and misconceptions of reality. I've seen those heal. I've seen those things heal, and I've seen individuals come together. I've watched it occur in others, and I've felt it in me. That's why I can explain it so deeply and profoundly and easily and simply. Because it's natural. It's a natural process that takes individual responsibility and effort to clean out their system of the toxins, the toxic food, so-called food, the fake food. That has to get cleared out. The toxic drink, the toxic chemicals, the toxic information, the toxic programming, the toxic beliefs. Especially the toxic belief in the authority of others over you. Absolutely no one is born as a baby coming into this world with any authority over any other life but its own. We are only taught different. We are taught that certain babies get to grow up and have massive amounts of authority over whatever they might choose. Nonsense. That's a belief. That's not nature. Nature does not create such things as that. Yet those things have been created. Yet those things that have been created and have been here for generations are exactly what have been enslaving us for generations. So I say, when is a better time than right now? With all of this so-called technology built on false concepts of reality that are taught. So teach reality in totally false ways and then build this technology to use energy in unnatural, harmful ways. Anyways, since it's available and we're using it, why not use it to get others to wake up to the fact that we've all been tricked? Look at another way to use energy. Look at the natural way. Learn the magnetic and the dielectric. Drop all the other theories for now. You know what? Don't even learn that. Just learn simple empathy. Just learn simple empathy and care for other life by knowing that other life feels pain like you feel. That other life suffers like you suffer. And none of us should want that for ourselves or others. And none of us especially should act to make those things happen to ourselves or others, especially ones we so-called care about. In a place we so-called care about that we call home or earth or creation or nature. Let's stop acting in opposition to that then and start caring really. And start knowing really. And stop believing. It worked for me. It healed me in ways so profound. It would take me, I could talk incessantly about the energetic workings of my own psyche, consciousness, my body, the interactivity of the electrical impulses throughout the cells, how they all work, the thoughts, what they are, exactly how they trigger, exactly the logic and creativity combining to reason, the resonant frequency through my spine. I could go and go and go. But that's what absolutely all of us should be able to do. Because if we were brought up to live in a natural state, in our natural state, we would grow up knowing ourselves that fully and deeply, where it would be so simple to have such full control, where you know exactly what action or reaction you're going to take because you're right in the moment, because you're not triggered by things, because you can analyze and take things in and not create false emotions and get fired up. You can dismiss nonsense. You can know truth from deception, real from false with ease. Because you know yourself so deeply, you can see how it comes out in others. You can see how the act is portrayed and how it's acted out and reacted out in others. You see the mind control for the depths of what it is. You see how the consciousness and spirit is suppressed in folk. But you also see how to get through. It only comes from getting through to oneself, though. One has to get through to oneself. To let oneself know, hey, you're tricked and you're created, this self, this ego, this image you have of you, what you're acting out, what you're portraying, what you think you look at in the mirror. It's not that costume you wear. Look deeper, look past, look inside. Look deeper behind and beneath the meaning of that costume. What does it mean? Is it really there to serve and to protect for the good of all? Or is it only there to serve and protect the masters and what they want because it's what they say? It doesn't matter what you say. You better not say different as long as you wear the costume. You have to see that. I had to see that in me, in the costumed image I had of myself in my mind, to realize how I was used to do dark things for others' greed and others' want of control. That's the system of natural concepts, nature's concepts within us to protect and to care, for the mind to analyze and to act and react on how to protect life, to safeguard and preserve life, and for the heart to feel how to care and nurture life. Well, those concepts that we have within us to naturally want to protect and care and nurture for life had just been flipped through teaching to a dark perception of protection and care, to where now it's twisted and these so-called jobs or careers or fields of lines of work set up supposedly to protect. It's just the opposite. It's the dark side of protect. It's the control aspect. And the care aspect is set up in a dark fashion as well, because it's not to care and nurture and heal life more often than not. It is the dark aspect to destroy and harm life and prevent the nurturing of life, while calling it the opposite. and getting people to believe that it's the opposite of what it really is, because they name it. They name it in good ways. They name it as to serve and protect. They name it as to care, health care, your mental health care. It's set up to drive these problems and to get us to drive these problems and create these problems first within ourselves due to the indoctrination and unnatural teachings we ingest along with all the toxins that make it so we cannot possibly fathom the overall big picture of what's going on and to see these dark aspects and how they're at work within us. Because they've grown so much within us already, they are full-blown belief, and we are out there acting them out. Not all of us, lots of us are not. Lots of us haven't been. Lots of us have been at this way longer than I. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much, all of you that truly stand in truth and truly speak the truth. Thank you. No matter what it's to or what it's on, just that you're speaking the truth of what you know to be true. Thank you for it. And I am sorry I was not able to join in this struggle because I didn't realize it was going on. And I am sorry that I actively participated. I'm sorry that I participated for so long in that unknowing state directly against life itself and nature itself. I do apologize to the depth of me, and if you only knew the depth of feeling and crushing, to me that's part why I can't, to me to stand in front of someone else, to stand in front of some other so-called judge or anyone in any of the systems now, to explain myself, I would have to explain the absolute depth of my entire experience to get them to realize that their threat to take 11 years of my life is absolutely nonsense, because I punished myself to such depths energetically, I almost didn't make it through it. And that was only dealing with the entirety of my own experience. From what I was taught childhood on, and absolutely all of my experiences combined. So for me to show up in person, to stand in an establishment that I know is set up to enslave, and to explain myself on one specific ridiculous situation or incidents of nonsense to someone within this system without being able to convey the entirety of the nonsense and what I went through inside, and how their punishment would never scratch the surface of what I went through inside me, and how absolutely childish and ridiculous it is of them to assume they had the authority to take a chunk of my life because of some material reason that they have to take it. To take away that chunk of my life experience from me, my family, a grandchild I'm supposed to have. Like I say, I'm not angry at the system. I see what it all is and how it's set up. I'm not angry at the folk within it, except for I'm angry that it's still going on. Though I don't blame or pass judgment, I just want to be left alone by it. That's all I ask. And on top of that, I only ask, if I'm going to address someone within that system, let it be the very top of that system, the one that stands on top of the pyramid, that is not directly involved in any of those nonsensical systems, because they are the ones that know it is all enslavement. Why can I not talk to you person to person without any, and I said person to person, corporation to corporation. See, I still fall into your language traps. That's all ridiculous, except I don't fall into them anymore because I see them all. But see, that's the issue. That's what I mean. Only because it is so ridiculously, absolutely nonsensically clear to me, I don't get how this reality is still continuing to exist in such a state. That's why it seemed to me, why not say something like I'd just been kind of going with this mouthful after mouthful, which I might just go ahead and just upload it right as it sounds, which I almost did it live, but you know what? I might review first. But I figure why not? Because is that what it's going to take? Because I don't know. I look at all the prophetic stuff too, and all the crazy, all the stuff, all the natural disasters, the unnatural disasters, the earthquakes, the huge hurricanes, that Hurricane Florence that's about to, I don't know, be the size of a few states supposedly if you go by that GFS model. You know what? Who knows? It's all fire on one side of the country. It's all water on the other side of the country. And who knows? Right in the middle, you got Yellowstone and all the other, who knows? I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm about tired of all the shenanigans. Because it's just thing after thing after thing. It's the fake weather. It's the chemical snow. It's the blocking the light. It's let's lie about what's going on above us. Let's not tell anyone what's going on above us. Let's lie to everyone about absolutely everything. Pretend it's all real. Play out all these different aspects of this ridiculous theater. To what conclusion? When? That's what I have to ask. When does this conclude then? If supposedly all these deceptions are coming to light, which I feel they are, because I can see them, I'm talking about them, so are plenty of others. Well, when are enough others going to actually start to talk about them instead of talking about ridiculous nonsense like, I don't know, the football game, this protest, that protest? I mean, should someone do this? Should someone do that? So-and-so did such and such somewhere to someone, to somebody. Someone said this or that. It's ridiculous. When is everyone going to start to go, wait, this is all nonsense. It's all set up. We're all acting like adult children arguing about nonsense. All acting out these ridiculous so-called systems of game of life / monopoly / risk game board they have set up for us that we're running around in. Why are we acting out all these different systems of our own enslavement and toxicity and harm? Why are we doing it? Let's stop. When is that going to happen? That's what I wonder. Because it seems like it should happen like real quick here, because things are broken. And it's easy for me to say it's unbelievable how broken it is. And that's easy for me to say because I don't believe anything anymore, because the beliefs are the lies. They teach you to be those lies that they teach as belief. And I don't believe them anymore, and that's why, that's my issue now. What do I trust? Who do I trust? Except for me and what I have in here, and know that I'm a son of the Creator, trapped in this place, so to speak. For now, trying to get through to the other sons and daughters of the Creator to let them know, like, hey, I feel that this is terribly wrong how it's all set up. I see why it's terribly wrong because of my own experience. Would you please listen to me? Yet it's hard to get folk to listen. I realize that because I wouldn't have listened to anyone for 39 years, and I didn't. Because the inspelling, mind control, and indoctrination is that in-depth, and it starts at day one, and it doesn't stop. And it's continuous, repetitive cycles. That's why it takes individual responsibility to stop it, go inside, and analyze the nonsense, to shut off from it, and to consider it fully, to stand in that center point of truth that they know in them, within them, that they are also a son or daughter of the Creator, God, here in physical form, with that spiritual connection to all the other life and all the other spirit that makes up this place, all at the same time in the present moment. It's what's been going on all along. Yet we've been acting in such a way and taught to act in such a way as to hurt all those other life and spirit energies. That was just taught. That was taught, learned behavior. Childish, taught, repetitive, learned behavior through years and years of indoctrination through school, through learning how to fall into these different cliques and stay trapped in these different these different aspects of mind of this subject or this group or that group. It has to be risen above, so to speak, consciously. It's an individual effort that's required to do that, to see that, to admit that to oneself, that is indeed the state they're in. And that is indeed the state that they have acted in for so long. And it's embarrassing when you admit it to yourself. It was for me. Well, not just embarrassing. It was shamefully, destructively crushing to my very soul when I really felt how I had acted and how I had portrayed myself and how I had been taught to portray myself just by society in general from what I chose to take in or ignore. Fully feeling and dealing with the consequences of my own action, inaction, thought, emotion, incorrect, immoral or not, and to the depth of them. That is the hard inside inner spiritual work that folk tend to avoid due to fear, but that is where the absolute wisdom of truth comes from. In my humble opinion, it takes that deep, deep, deep admittance and knowing that you've been tricked. And in looking at yourself truly for what you are and what you've done and what you've become, to be able to change it. Because until then, you can't change it. I only say that because that's how I worked. That's how I ticked. I couldn't until I saw it. And that's what's so hard to get across to other folk that think reality is normal. Try to explain to them an experience that is spiritual in nature, profoundly deep to their core, energetically, that's real. It's a real thing that they can feel. And it's scary. And it can be painful depending on one's own experience and what one has experienced. It's also, at the same time, scary, beautiful at the same time. That's why it's hard to explain. But if folk can't get past the initial fear of admittance and the crushing pain of despair of knowing what has happened here, what's happened to all of us generationally, and what we have all been a part of and what has happened. And it's crushing the depth of the deception. But the beauty of life at the same time is so profoundly amazing and comes so much more to life as you see it. And as you become fully aware and your consciousness becomes fully aware of all the deception, as you feel it to its depth, that you feel that you are indeed infinity here in this physical body as a part of creation, and that you have indeed been tricked, but there's so much more beauty in everything, especially within you, that you thought was gone. I say that because that's how I felt. I hated myself to the core. To me, I was my own blackest black hole to just it was a pit to the depths of hell inside me that I had to explore, to put some sort of metaphorical speech to it. Yet climbing out of that hell is that rebirth into truth, into peace, into harmony, into equilibrium, into balance with nature, from the inside out. From the consciousness of the mind and the heart and the gut intertwined, all resonating in harmony as one fully responsible being of mind, body, and spirit. And trying to convey that message of truth, of spirit in physicality, that we all are and we all should be and we all are supposed to get to in this life experience, to experience this unity so we can have peace, world peace. It takes individual effort and responsibility to feel it so we can have that. So please, I implore everyone within any of the systems, wherever you are, please just take a look at what's being done. Is it helpful or is it harmful? And if it is harmful, leave it. Leave it. Change it or make it helpful. Don't attack it. Don't destroy it. Just leave it. All we have to do to stop causing harm is to stop the actions that are causing the harm. To stop war, you only need to stop fighting. To stop protests everywhere, you only need to stop lying to people and creating groups within groups to argue about nonsensical topics that aren't true anyway. To stop the enslavement, you only need to stop your own enslavement. To expand your own consciousness and feeling, you only have to stop yourself from your repetitiveness and do it. And we all can do it. And that's our responsibility to do, and that'll fix this whole place for all of us. Not for the desire of money, not for the desire of control or greed, only for a desire to make this place a better place for life in general. That's the only want of that, and I would say that is not a want, it is a need. It is a need of all life here to be able to experience their life experience without the harm created by others or the threat of being harmed by others who might show up to harm them or take them away or enslave them or show up to subvert or control them or to destroy them because of someone else's reasons. There's no reason, no good reason for it, only bad ones. I don't mean to be all preachy and things, but I feel these things, and I know these things have to be said. I also know that I'm not, that's why I talk so openly, because I know I'm not some innocent person, corporation in all this. While I was under that false impression of things, I acted out in that system. I'm just as guilty as everyone else for generations that didn't look sooner at the systems and they participated fully within the systems and they committed acts within the systems. Well, I'm just as guilty as everyone else for acting in a way diametrically opposed to the will of the Creator, I will say. And I'm so deeply and profoundly ashamed of that it took me that long to know that. But I know that's the thing, is that once that is known, it becomes a requirement to speak on it. Consequences be damned. I know it becomes a requirement because right now, the way things are going, the way folk are ignoring truth and their own spirituality, to me, the karmic price, so to speak, is being paid quickly for action and inaction, incorrect action, immoral action. Those karmic debts aren't being banked, so to speak, in my opinion, as I look out. Those very real karmic manifestations of cause and effect in a way of the evil manifest in bad stuff, or incorrect or immoral thoughts or actions or emotions quickly manifest in the consequences of those. That's increased and they're not being banked. That's how I see it. And that's why I see everything increasing exponentially. Because folks are paying these karmic prices right now. It's not about paying your prices here and these debts here on like a property that I abandoned because we were chased out of, so to speak. Who cares? I don't care. I don't blame anybody. I don't want to be there anyway. And I'm happy where I am, and I'm happy being peaceful where I am. That's what I mean. See what I'm saying? And that should be the point here for all of us, to where we're not just messing with each other or fighting each other or enslaving each other, due to, someone's stupid idea of things or some stupid paycheck. I mean, it's such nonsense. Saying like you're right there, but I figured it'd be like talking to somebody when they see it, you know what I mean? So yeah, you know what? Again, just to make it clear, boy, this is a long this is going to be so much repetitiveness, as I talked about having repetitive thoughts and stuff, but I figure it needs to be said. I also feel that, the consequences of knowing truth and not speaking on truth, the truth of, say, like nature or what one would come to know as, what I don't want to say what God's idea for this place might want to be, because it's not my place to say, but just knowing that there's a God, the truth of that, and knowing we're all part of that, shouldn't be harming each other. I know, there's very real consequences to not speak on that too. And those are the more spiritual, cosmic, karmic consequences that I will not rack up, because it took so much inner stuff I feel inside me to get my karmic debt, so to speak, paid to a zero balance for my own past experience. That was so painful and traumatic and reality shattering, mind perception altering, all of it, that whole process, but so necessary. And then I also knew that once that so-called balance was struck and I could feel this interconnectedness of life and creation, and that there was more in all of us, that I had better start talking about it. Otherwise, I was doing a disservice to life in general. It became very clear and apparent to me that the whole time I spent during the first portion of my life in this physical experience, where I thought I was providing service to others, that I really and truly was not providing service in a correct and moral fashion. I was not. I also knew that once I realized that to speak the truth to that about that, that is how I provide service then to life itself, nature itself, the creator, and maybe that intent there of this place in creation itself, to talk about the interconnectedness of all of us as sons and daughters of the creator or creation, mother, father, creator, and creation on earth. To me, that's another thing. If folk know and feel that and stand in that, and they don't speak on that, and they hold that to themselves out of fear of how they'll be perceived and how they will indeed be attacked and targeted by this so-called beast system, in my opinion, you're doing a disservice to yourself, most importantly. Because to me, speaking the truth of this at that out there for the benefit of others, to truly help them come out of this state of mind control. If you don't engage and do that and help, to me, you pay a spiritual price for that, for holding on to that truth. Because to me, that is the problem that's happened here, is folk that have had truth, that have held on to truth and not spoke it clearly and coherently and enough and loudly enough and often enough, are at least partially responsible for the deceptions, the multitudes of deceptions to be allowed to grow that we all fell under and continue to fall under. And again, that's just an opinion. I'm not trying to tell anyone what they should do or how they should do it. Please trust me, I am not. I am only trying to share my perception, what I feel, what I know, in the maybe nowadays not so meager amount of wisdom I've been able to distill from my own experience and my own research, in my own learning, in my own development. I'll continue to do the same because I am convinced this is all going to be fixed. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know how it's going to work. I know we're all the sons and daughters of the Creator that we're waiting for to show up here in reality on the ground to set things right. All of us are that, except for the ones that are diametrically opposed to that on purpose. For the ones that know better, not for the ones that fall into these different deceptive traps that have been set up. They just don't know yet. They haven't seen it yet. They haven't felt it yet. But that's what we should all be trying to do for each other, is point it out. So then they can find that, once it's pointed out, that center point within them, that point of energetic existence of their soul that they have to trace back and find, to remember that they're much more, that they came here to be much more and are much more than what life has beat them down into believing believing falsely in them, in themselves, about themselves. Those false beliefs have to be broken within each individual so they can get to a state of knowing. And then maybe we can find out, who is it? Who's the one? Is there more than one? Who's the one that knows? Who's the one that set it all up? Probably not a who, is it? It's probably an energy. It's probably an energy that is allowed to grow, has its own consciousness, and grows and spreads like a virus. If everything's energetic like that, which I know it is, well, light's getting more intense nowadays, isn't it? And maybe that's to burn all of that darkness away, so to speak. And I don't mean in the created fire sort of way. I don't mean that. The whole different scam and sham of insurance and depopulation and population management and social engineering and ridiculousness that's going on. I mean something on a much more profound scale that's about to shed light on all these deceptions. That's why, to me, I think it's better to get ahead of it. It's better for folk to realize things right now, currently, on the ground, in their current present moment, to realize fully their own state of mind, their own state of feeling, their own state of connectedness or disconnectedness with everything. Because right now there's so many things going on that, to me, there's not time for anything else. It's time to get right inside and get right with life and each other and ourselves and our loved ones, and to find that again and quit, because things are absolutely insane out there. It's all layered theater. It's all insanity. Only thing is, that's only how it looks to me from where I sit in a garage in the present moment. In that, I know that I cannot know exactly what's going on within any of these groups anywhere. Who's doing what? Who's watching me? Who isn't watching me? Who might be out to get me? Doesn't matter. I'm not out to get anyone, and I'm not out to cause any shit. I am only here to speak truth about the absolute ridiculous amount of bullshit that gets portrayed and pumped out and fought about on a minute-to-minute basis in what folk think of as society nowadays. It's unnatural, it's broken, and it's set up on purpose to operate this way. All we have to do is not participate in it in the way it is set up. To participate in it in our own way, in line with care, in nature, in reason. Not interact with it in such a way as to where you step on absolutely all other life to get over on it no matter what. That has to be left behind. Those mindsets have to be left behind because they're unnatural. They're predatory. Predators are the outliers of a society of peaceful beings. Yet predators have been allowed to become the so-called leadership. Why? Because our species, what we are, men, women, and children, are, by our very nature, peaceful beings that have been trained to act against our nature in so many different forms and fashions for so long. All we have to do is see it. And then not act like that. And then tell it that it's wrong. Everywhere it exists. That's it. I'll leave it at this. So just know, I'm not here to cause any problem, no violence. I'm not out to attack anybody, anything. I'm not out to try and none of that. That's not me. That's not who I am. Unfortunately, I was that in the past. That's my point. That is a whole nother life that doesn't even exist to me anymore. Because it was never a life that I could fully give my full knowing consent to in the first place. So I can't respond. I can't respond to you anymore. system. I can't. So it would only be one tiny aspect of a huge overall game of nonsense. And I know it's all set up. So, please, for any of the folk in any of these systems, please know that I am not your enemy. And were you to show up because some master gave the order to come collect me like I'm some kind of criminal or threat or some kind of danger, just know that I have caused no harm in this manifested situation. The harm I caused was during my 21 years of supposedly award-filled honorable service to this nation. I caused real harm to others. And that nonsense was awarded and paid with a paycheck. And then I leave that to try and put that together. And a situation arises to where, now we'll take your life away now that this is a situation devoid of harm. So everything's so upside down, backwards and inverted in this place. Just know I'm not your enemy, anyone that works in any of those systems, because I worked within that same system. The same system thought I was doing the right thing for the right reasons. It turns out I was doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. It was a hard thing to admit to myself. So no, I don't judge. Just please know I don't judge anyone. Because I know the painful place we've all been put in. It's painful, the tricks. Anyway, just know I'm not your enemy. I'm not here to cause harm. I'd much rather just be left alone, left in peace, to go in peace and just stay away from really society as it stands. I really have shut myself away. Almost you could consider almost solitary confinement since I so-called woke up to reality. Awoke. Since I really saw reality, really I have secluded myself like a hermit and locked myself away because there's just too much. There's just too much bad going on out there. There is. And I just rather try and help from here. So please know that. That's all I'm trying to do. It's all my life consists of now. Being with my family. Trying to get a garden going. You know what I mean? Try and speak words of truth best I can, where I can, however I can. Without causing harm. As I hope that others wake up to this thing and we can put all these systems right. I guess we'll see. So appreciate anybody that's listening to all of this, because I know it was a lot, but I also know it was things I really needed to say. Because I don't know what's coming in the future. But I want to make it real clear that I'm not the one to have a story spun on them, some MK Ultra-esque psychopathic veteran, whatever, PTSD type of individual. I am not that. I will never be that. And so, I could run circles around any of you folk that try to put those kinds of labels on things. The folk that used to diagnose me with all these nonsensical things that I used to go to for help, that I realized were not there to help me. I could run circles around you with your own terminology in the psychology and the interaction of thought under the different archetypes of personality and the way disorders are created and manipulated by this programming. Yeah, I figure why bother? That's for each individual to figure out within themselves, because as soon as you get yourself energetically, you see how you've been tricked all along and you get all these same things. And all those ridiculous degrees and all the things melt. And it's all meaningless. Because you see just how deep the deception and how long it's been going and just how narrow-minded everyone is in all the different parts of it. Until they break out of it and become more broad and open-minded. So that's coming. That's here to me. That's what's happening. Individuals just have to accept it fully, move inward to move onward. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate anyone who listens. I really do. Thank you.